Hey everyone, Cem Tezcan here. I'm recording this video for showing the features of my water with bubble substance, which is available in my Artstation store. And I created an update for it and added some new features. So I'm going to show them to you along with using it from scratch in this video. So let's start by checking the graph which is included in the pack. So this is the Substance Designer graph, but the pack has also a Substance Archive file that you can use with Substance Painter. So the main usage scenario of this pack is within Substance Painter, not Designer. But I am including this graph in the pack as well for you to adjust it according to your needs if it's needed in a technical way. So let's check it within Substance Designer first, and then we move on by applying it to a sample mesh within Substance Painter. So this pack has nothing as a starter, but if you connect a white and black and white mask to it, it generates bubbly water as a result. So I'm enabling this switch to connect this temporary mask to this graph, and the graph generates some kind of bubbly water as you see on the preview window. So there are some parameters for it as well, or you can paint a custom mask according to your needs. So let's generate a bitmap, and then we can paint a custom mask to see the to understand the effect or the filter much better. So I am changing the color mode to grayscale and connect it to the mask input. And since the mask is fully black, nothing is happening right here. But if I select a white color for my brush and paint some white areas, you see that there is a bubbly water generated like this. If you set a large island of white area, the filter generates larger bubbles in the center. Let's show you much better. So this big island has larger bubbles. If you interfere this area with some black color, the bubbles got tinier because of the main volume of the white area. You can also paint with gray to get some much nicer variation on the foam, and it gets much tinier if you get a darker mask as an input. So there are some parameters for this pack. Some of them are new since I updated it yesterday. So let me show you some of them. There are some high level or advanced controls right here. I will show them in the painter, but mainly you can change the foaminess value to control the white foam around the bubbles, and also you can change the bubble size. Bubble size generates a nice effect. You see that since it's new, I like it much, and you can see that bubbles are looking like they are popping after a large result. Let me set it to 50 and adjust it from 0, and you see that the bubbles are getting higher, and when they connect to the boundary of their current allowed areas, they pop and leave the area to the tinier bubbles. So this is pretty much the effect, and there are some much more parameters like the wave intensity on the water. Let me show you by setting a clean area at the center. You see that this wave intensity controls the waviness of the clear water of the surface. Also, you can change the wave scale. So you see that this area got waviness according to your needs. Normally, the intensity has set to 0, so it has a flat surface, but you can change it anyways. So there's a ripple warp intensity as well. This controls the boundaries of your mask that you have painted. Let me show you. If I set to 0, the result will pretty much the same with your mask input, but you increase the warp intensity, it just gets a variation around the boundaries to get a nice effect that matches with the bubbles. So let's move on to the painter. But before that, I actually picked a model from the model library, which is a bathtub, and I added a flat surface over it to work as the water surface. I created two of the same models, but the water has two variations. One of the waters on this bathtub has a larger UV island, as you can see here, and the other one has a tinier UV island on the UV area. I generated these two scenarios because this material pack best used with a larger UV pack of a model. But if you end up with a tinier UV area, as you can see here, there is also a workaround to get it work it better, because the previous versions people get stuck with the getting not good effects with the filter because of because they got tinier UV on their mesh. But by exporting these two sets, we can work on the two alternative scenarios. So let's move on by moving this FBX file into the painter. All right. Actually, I got the wrong FBX. All right. So let me check the texture sets first. This is the large UV and this is the small UV. Yes. Now, starting by the large UVs, first thing we need to do is to import this SPSAR file into the painter or to our library. So I'm importing it as a filter, and you can set this to fully available for this pack to available on your library, or specifically will be available for your this specific project. So it depends on your importing settings. And next, I am drag and dropping it to the layer stack. So the right one here has the large UV set. So we will apply this filter to this one first. All you need to do is to paint a base color under this layer. I'm disabling it for starter, and next in this empty layer I'm going to add a fill layer. In this fill layer I am just setting the color to black, and then I'm adding a paint layer. In this paint layer I'm setting my brush to only paint the color channel and setting the color to the white. After this stage, I can paint any area I want with white to set a foamy look on the surface. Let me enable the filter first. You can also make it by disabling it, it doesn't matter. But you can see the result while painting like this. So I'm connecting the white areas to get larger bubbles. Like that. So you see the result like this. Let's change the bed top material as a shinier one and move on by adjusting the water filter. So what I'm going to do, showing you the materials. One of them is the normal intensity. You can also disable the height because it doesn't matter to get this effect on the look if you are not using a displacement. And you can adjust the normal intensity to set the normals of this pack in a more intense way. If your height level is enabled, you can also adjust the height values as well. So Painter just combines these two as converting them into the normal map. So it's totally up to you to disable either of them. So next, I mentioned about the ripple intensity that controls the boundaries of your mask that you have painted. If you disable your filter, you can see the painting that you have made here. And also, you can adjust the liquid color and the foam color independently. So I'm setting the liquid color to some red values and foam color to a blue one. You can get different results by changing this color. Actually, the coffee foam has a brownish foam color, so the liquid color may change from a darker tones. Let's do it. So I'm setting it as a coffee color, and the foam will be kind of something like this, maybe around here or there. So this color adjustment makes something easier to get different liquid types with showing them in a foamy way. So next is the wave intensity. This controls the waviness of the clear areas, and you can increase the scale to get much more rippled surface like this. And the foaminess controls the white foam around the bubbles. So if I increase it in an intense way, you get a much more whiter, foamy result. And if you decrease it, there will be no foam around the bubbles. Sorry. Yes. So the bubble tiling and bubble size controls the frequency and the size of the bubbles. If you increase the bubble size, you end up with this kind of larger bubbles. And tiling also helps on adjusting the number of the bubbles as well. So if you increase it by a higher tile, you get larger bubbles with much more dense way in the considering the numbers of the bubbles like this. You can set the get back to default parameters by selecting this one, so it will be easier for you to roll back any changes you made. And also the seed helps on getting random results on the distribution according to the mask you have painted. So what I'm going to do is showing you the advanced controls. I wouldn't touch those if I don't need to, but it's actually very hard to get what you need by controlling these, but I put them because sometimes they look like they are helpful. The large bubble distribution and the middle-sized bubble distribution controls the medium-sized bubbles and the large-sized bubbles um, to set them in a dense way in the distribution. For example, if I increase this large bubble distribution, they will just spread to a larger area, not on the center. So let me show you the middle-sized bubble distribution. If I increase it, you will see that middle-sized bubbles will spread in a larger area. And if I increase the large-sized, you see that they will distribute it to a larger area. But since the size of them are large, they pop, as I showed on the Substance Designer graph. So I suggest you to decrease the bubble size first and then increase the bubble distribution according to this way. So also the tiling can help on setting the larger bubbles in a much more dense way. So this way you can control the distribution of the bubbles. This distribution adjustment tool just controls the area of the medium-sized and larger-sized bubbles as well. If you decrease it like this, they will just spread whole to the mask that you have painted. If you increase it, they will get centered in a way. So only parameters here that I haven't mentioned about are the UV positioning, but this is used for the smaller sized UVs. So if you have a small UV, let me copy this paint layer and the filter to the small bubbles. Actually painting haven't been transferred since the UVs are different, but let's make a similar painting like we did on the larger UV set. I'm trying to paint a similar area to show you the result that we get with using the same filter. Let me enable this too. And you see that if you have smaller UV area to apply this water with bubbles filter, you end up with something not good at the end. To fix that, I have this UV positioning parameters right here. All you need to do is to position the material to your UV island. Let me show you this. First thing you need to do is to enable UV positioning debug mask. So if you do that, all you need to do is to center this shape to your UV area. This shape is something like this. So all you need to do is center your UV area to this center point, and you set the scale to this boundary of this rectangle. It's easy actually. Sorry about making it less understandable. All you need to do is just first position this square to this UV area. I suggest you to press Shift to adjust it much more in a low tolerance way, because otherwise it will be hard for you to just center this shape to your UV. So pressing Shift and sliding it will make it much more easier. So the X positioning is right here, and you can adjust it by adjusting the parameters of the Y positioning as well. And then all you need to do is to do the scaling. So I am scaling it down, and you see that the shape is centered to my UV area. All I need to do is to scale it until it passes the boundary. So these white areas should be outbound this UV island. So I am scaling it up until I don't see the boundary of the square. So all I need to do is that. So I am disabling this debug function, and you see that now I have the pretty similar result with the first one. So if your UV is not as big as this large UV, all you need to do is to reposition the material with this debug feature, position it by offsetting it in X and Y axes, and then scale it until you don't see the boundary of your mesh. So if you try, there is also a way to create, or I see some problems with the users. So let me explain it as an additional input. I am just creating a copy. Sorry, not here. Actually, let's move on with the small UV area. Yes, I am creating a copy of this, disabling the previous one, and I'm going to paint again. Let's disable this and paint a new mask. This time I will paint the frame and leaving the center clean. You see that if I enable the filter, there's not much of big bubbles here and there. For this kind of results, you need to paint the outbound of your area. So to do that, I'm going to change a parameter on my brush. You see that there is an alignment tool. I set it to UV, and then I can easily paint in the UV area the outbound area of this UV island. So I am painting this outer shell. So you see that I got larger bubbles around the endpoints as well. And if you repaint the outer bonds with black, you see that you nearly lost all the big bubbles like this. So painting outside of your UV area also controls the bigger bubbles. So as an additional input, I just wanted to mention that as well. So this is pretty much the usage of this water with bubbles filter or material or substance. So I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for buying it. Have a great day.